It's a hard-hitting sport, and the owners of Canada's 6 National Hockey League teams say they're being hit hard. They say they face unfair challenges trying to face off against American clubs. So today they went looking for financial help. Here's the CBC's Raj Alawalya.
No ice, no puck, no problem. For these aspiring hockey stars, it's still the same game no matter where it's played. Their favorite teams are in Canada, but Chris Godin and his friends believe in the future all the best players will be playing on U.S. teams.
Probably because they have more money.
No ice here either, but this is where the future of Canada's national pastime is being shaped. Representatives of the 6 Canadian NHL teams meeting with 3 levels of government. For some teams, it's a bit of a power play. They say either we get some tax concessions or we'll go south.
We compete in a league where our competitors in the United States collect U.S. dollars, we collect Canadian. They don't pay real estate taxes, we do, and they get subsidies on their buildings, we don't.
For example, last year, the 6 Canadian franchises paid almost $22 million in municipal property taxes. By contrast, the 21 American franchises combined paid just more than $4 million.
There are burdens that are being imposed upon the Canadian clubs that may be unfair.
Some say it's no accident the American teams are dominating our game. They always seem to win the Stanley Cup these days. They can afford to spend more money on players. And it's partly why Winnipeg and Quebec City no longer have NHL teams, even though their games usually sold out.
I played in Winnipeg, and I know how much those fans there miss hockey, and it's unfortunate that happened, and obviously in Quebec it happened, and we don't want to see it happen anymore to Calgary or Edmonton.
There were no commitments at the meeting, only an agreement to meet again in July. But even by talking about it, the politicians know they're taking a risk. Many people don't think millionaire hockey players or multi-millionaire owners need any help.
I could care less either about the players or the owners.
The federal government says it'll put up some money, but only if the provinces and the municipal governments come through as well.
We support symphonies, we support opera, we support ballet. Well, you know what? Hockey is culture too.
No argument on that from these kids, but they say they'll keep playing no matter what happens to the Canadian teams.
Hockey is kind of Canada's sport.
Raj Alawalya, CBC News, Toronto.
Good evening. The federal government is skating backwards as fast as it can. Just 3 days after announcing a subsidy plan for Canada's NHL teams, Ottawa says the idea is dead. Hockey may be Canada's game, and teams based here may be in danger of moving south, but in a country where farmers are desperate for help, where people are waiting in line for health care, the idea of the government coming to the aid of teams that employ millionaire players did not go over well. Sasha Petrusik starts off our coverage on Ottawa's fast turnaround.
Last night, the Ottawa Senators took 2 direct hits.
That's a dangerous play.
This check wiped out a key player. This key player wiped out his check. Industry Minister John Manley told Canadian NHL teams he changed his mind about giving them financial help. This morning, he told everyone else
that this proposal is dead. We will not be pursuing the issue any further.
Just 3 days ago, Manley promised the team some $20 million in federal subsidies if provinces and municipalities came up with 3 times as much. The provinces said no. The public said no way. Protesting even today in front of Manley's office.
Outraged at this decision to give millions to millionaires.
Complaining loudly that the money could be much better spent helping healthcare than helping hockey.
Do people want politicians that won't do anything? Well, we took action. We did do something. Do people want politicians who don't listen? I don't think so. So we took action, we heard what the people said, and that's the result of it.
The result of intense pressure, even from some fellow Liberal MPs, who now applaud the backtrack.
As long as you have, the wisdom to recognize that a misstep has occurred and that a correction is required, I think people are reasonable.
Opposition reform MPs say, we told you so.
A victory for Canadian taxpayers who spoke in unprecedented numbers and volume over the past week in opposition to these grants and handouts.
As for Senators owner Rod Bryden, who's been threatening to sell his team for years, who said he'd put the for sale sign away on Tuesday.
The sign must still be in the garage, but it's probably useful that we didn't burn it.
Bryden played a key role in the federal bailout plan. He says Canadians assumed Ottawa was making a trade-off that's not necessarily so.
If they have to choose between a child poverty program or a home for the homeless, they'll choose the homeless and the children, not the National Hockey League. And I would vote with that too, if I believe that to be true, which I'm absolutely certain it is not.
Bryden says he doesn't blame Ottawa for the backtrack, but around here there's no shortage of finger-pointing. Ottawa blames the provinces, accusing them of privately backing the federal program, then slamming it as soon as it was announced. And ultimately, some Liberal MPs blame the Prime Minister for misreading public opinion so badly. Sasha Petrusek, CBC News, Ottawa.
Well, in a few short days, it was easy to hear what Canadians thought. The federal government's plan was met with a resounding chorus of opinion, and as Ron Charles reports, most people were booing.
When we come back, we will open the phone lines for...
Listen to sports radio call-in shows and you'll understand how much of an emotional issue hockey is to Canadians. And over the issue of giving government money to NHL teams, emotions run with equal strength both ways.
This is all a bunch of lies by very rich people who want to get more money. Their heads and their hearts were in the right places when they said that they were going to kick in originally. Now what they're being influenced by is the political outcry.
But it was the strong emotional response from across the country against hockey aid that won out. People pointed to the crisis in health care, homelessness, and family farms heading for bankruptcy as deserving of federal funds, not wealthy hockey players.
Charity for the NHL, I think it's like millions for millionaires. So I'm glad they're backing out.
Too many people, not just in Ontario, but across the country, have said to themselves, that's it. There's more important issues like health care and everything else, and that's the way it is.
Some team owners were blaming themselves for not selling the idea well.
In hindsight, maybe we should have done a little more on the PR angle.
On the practice ice in Calgary, players with the Flames expressed disappointment and trepidation.
The simple fact is that if there isn't help somewhere along the line, then the teams are going to move, and that's the unfortunate part of all of it. And we're kind of in the middle as players. I know that we're handsomely paid and in some cases overpaid.
Until the NHL
Dennis Mills is one Liberal member of Parliament who supported helping out hockey teams. He's disappointed at how quickly emotion overtook the issue.
I mean, how much of a debate did we have? Like less than 48 hours later, the decision was taken.
The quick and negative reaction shows Canadians may be in love with their national sport, but clearly it's not love at any price. Ron Charles, CBC News, Toronto.